And I have a very special guest who happens to be visiting Ottawa from Afghanistan. There was a colloquium at the University of Ottawa where the issue of Afghanistan was discussed in a very comprehensive and thorough manner, and one of the speakers happens to be my guest this morning, and this is Miss Fatima Gailani. So welcome, Fatima.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I think our listeners would be happy to learn a little bit about yourself. I know a little bit about you from the meeting that we had, but I'd ask you to tell us directly.
Okay.
So first of all, you have a very famous name from Afghanistan. Tell us a little bit about your background, your family background.
Well, I'm lucky enough to be born in a family which was already accepted and loved and respected by the Afghan people.
Mm-hmm.
I am the daughter of Sayyid Ahmad Gailani, who is the head of he's a religious leader. He is the head of the Qadiriya sect,
Yes.
which is quite important way in Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and North Africa and all that. So in Afghanistan especially, people really respect the Gailani family and household. But this is what I was born with. I was lucky enough to have a very strong mother who didn't let me to be spoiled or just be happy with a famous name. She tried, and so did my father, but especially my mother tried very hard to teach me to become, hopefully, to become what is worthy of the name.
Mm-hmm.
And she always explaining to me, and when I was a child, that it doesn't matter what background you were born, but you have to be there for people who has given you that importance.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that some of it I have achieved. I was born in Afghanistan, and I was brought up in Afghanistan. I did my 12 years of school there. Then I went for my further studies to Tehran, Iran, to study Persian literature and history, and then Persian literature and Sufism. I love Persian poetry. I love poetry. I love every kind of literature, whatever language it comes. But
So you're quite completely fluent in Persian?
in Afghanistan we have two languages,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm fluent in both. We have two official languages. We have many languages.
Mm-hmm.
Countries with mountains, you have lots
Yes.
of languages. So, but the two official languages, I speak both fluently, and so it is easy for me. But my passion for Persian literature, even if I hadn't been an Afghan or from that area, still would have been the same. I still enjoy poetry. Then, as soon as I finished my degree from Iran, in Afghanistan we had a coup d'etat, and my family was in a danger, so they left, and I left too, and I came to England. I went to England. I didn't know English at all. I learned English. I gave myself 9 months. I said, that's it, you have to learn. I did.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's difficult to say that you learn English. It's not easy to be totally master in English, but I can speak, I can read and talk to people. That was enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
I became busy first with looking after those people who were wounded in Afghanistan in the war against Soviet Union, especially children. Lots of children were burned by napalm bomb, by mines and all. I was looking after them, translating for them, taking them to hospitals. And soon after that...
Just as a volunteer?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
of course.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I also became interested in politics of the country. I wanted people in the world to know that what is the situation, a small country invaded by a superpower of the time, that how is it?
Mm-hmm.
So then I became officially the spokesperson for the resistance of Afghanistan. So I was based in London, but I was traveling all over Europe and North America to explain in media, conferences, in schools, colleges, everywhere, to explain that what is the situation of people in Afghanistan. And at that time we had the biggest exodus of people leaving the country, that we had 5 million people leaving Afghanistan, which at that time now, unfortunately, it has become so almost normal that everywhere something happens, millions of people leave. But at that time, it was in the history of humanity, it was the first time that so many people in such a short time left a country, which was Afghanistan. So I was busy with that. Then, of course, the cause of women is naturally very close to my heart, and not just Afghanistan, in our part of the world, the situation of women is still a challenging situation. We have to do a lot. So this was what I've been doing.
Yes, and you have been president of the Afghani Red-Crescent Society, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, since when?
When we went back to Afghanistan, somehow I had enough of politics. I wanted to go in humanitarian field. And I remember very well the day that I was going to get a job, and in everyone's mind, they thought that I would, of course, ask for some sort of ministerial portfolio. But I didn't. I didn't want to, actually. I wanted to go to the Red-Crescent. I had a history there. I was a volunteer from the age of 12 in the Red-Crescent when we lived in Afghanistan before the war, during King Zahir Shah. My mother was a volunteer, my grandmother was a volunteer, so Red-Crescent, Red Cross was in my heart. I've been working there for a long, long time, as a child, as a young, as a teenager. So I wanted to go there, but I didn't get it immediately, because I was asked by President Karzai to be in the ratification of our new constitution. So we had men, and of course we had 9 women, that I was one of them.
Nine women out of how many?
I think they were quite 30-something people.
Okay, so it was a fair representation for at least for that time.
If it was fair for representation, we should have been much more, because we are 60% of the country.
Yeah. I meant by Middle Eastern and standards.
So we had, but it was amazing. That friendship that among these few women started, it is so deep. Because we entered into the life of Afghan people. We went to villages, we went to... This friendship still exists. These people became my sisters. One of them now lives in Toronto, and we still have this very close friendship with each other.
Amazing.
So, this 1 year that I worked producing the new constitution of Afghanistan is something which will stay in my heart and in my life for a long, long time. I think whatever life I have meant to have, it will be there. So after that, I became the president of Afghan Red-Crescent Society, and but the society was really, like everything else after such a long war, was in such a bad status. We worked very hard. I produced some sort of friendship there that we could, because when you work in the Red Crescent, it is not just your mind, it is your heart has to be very, very committed to what you do. So now we have a very good team, really good team. We almost totally got rid of corruption, which is a big thing in Afghanistan, unfortunately, you know.
In the whole Middle East,
really, really, it is almost corruption-free. We were rated the second best national society in our region, and we are one of the best one of the 15 best national societies in the whole world. So we have done quite a lot. When I started working, everything was paid by either by the International Committee of Red Cross or International Federation of Red Cross, Red-Crescent, both based in Geneva. So we had nothing. It was humiliating to see that even for the salary we had to really ask from them. In a matter of 1 year, we were able to pay our own salaries, and now more than 70% of our expenses is produced by our
locally.
yes.
Yeah.
Locally,
Yes.
donated by Afghan merchants from the land and properties that we had. I don't think that one individual could bring such a big change, but an individual could will have the talent or put the heart in it to recognize people who can do it and gather those people.
Yes.
And I was lucky enough to be able to find those individuals. They existed in the Red-Crescent, but they were wasted there. So to bring them together and use them for a better purpose.
Okay.
And today, working in a national society, whether it's a Red Cross or Red-Crescent, in a situation that you have armed conflict within the country, it's not easy to have the trust of both sides. So the trick is, of course, neutrality. You have to take it very seriously.
Okay, so which brings me to my next question, that is, what are your comments about the conference that was held yesterday at the University of Ottawa? Give me kind of an idea of what have we achieved with that conference? What were the good points about it, and what were the negative or deficient parts of it?
The only deficiency, I wish we had more time for questions, because people were burning to ask questions, and because we had such a little time, we were keeping our answers very short.
Yes, you had 8 hours.
No, for questions.
No, I mean the whole conference.
Yes, the whole conference was 8 hours.
Yes.
I wish we could have it in 2 days.
Yes.
Because the question of Afghanistan is so complex that it takes time to explain it. That why it is like that. What are the problems? What would be the solutions?
You think you did achieve that?
What we could achieve, we had a very honest, very honest delivery of what is happening there by Minister Atmar and also by Dr. Mastour, and regarding women and social problems by myself, that we said what exactly is there. We have a problem. What is a problem? What could be the solution? And the problem is not just from one side. The problem is from different sides. And how could we solve it? Because I think this honesty and this that we were telling the truth and not exaggerating on protecting any name or protecting any side. I think this was very important. The other important thing was that usually in the conferences, others come and decide what is good for Afghans. It was a totally, if you have managed to see that it was a totally Afghan side who was talking. Yeah. And the non-Afghan side were asking questions and putting challenges to us. So this was very important to see the point of view of those people who have helped us for such a long time, and they have every right to question us. Yeah. They have every right to see that the cause of Afghanistan is worthy to continue to help. Is it going to change, or it's just a waste of money and waste of time and waste of talents? So we came to a conclusion that no, it could be fixed. It needs patience. And it needs a little bit of more help, maybe.
Okay. Well, that's absolutely true what you said, that sometimes people who are not from that area seem to pontificate about the area without asking the local people about it. But you also said something during the conference that I kind of noted here. It says people should be consulted about the changes that occur in their country, because you cannot have peace without justice. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
This is a very important and it was because of the achievement of peace without taking in consideration justice in it. I think this is one of the reasons of the failure of the failures. We have lots of achievements. We have to, because usually we have time only to talk about things that should be mended. We don't go on and on about things which is achieved and wonderful. We have achieved fantastic things in Afghanistan that I would like a little bit of time to talk quickly about those also. But now we are talking about our mistakes, not just mistakes of Afghan people, but also the mistakes of the other players. I think it was very, very wrong of Akhtar Ibrahimi to sacrifice justice for the sake of peace in the Bonn conference. I think he, in 2-3 new interviews, he had said that this was wrong. Mm-hmm. But my argument, even in Bonn, was this, that how could you even think to have a sustainable peace in Afghanistan when you don't think about justice?
And by justice, you mean what?
By justice, I mean that those people who did wrong, even if we don't punish them, at least they should say that, yes, we have done wrong and we are sorry for it.
Yes.
We have to see that people that in Afghanistan, that they have suffered for such a long time, they should have a role in the future of their country. Those people like me, if we could afford it to just run away from the tyrants, they couldn't. Mm-hmm. They lived there. They lived there under every kind of war, linguistic war, tribal war, political war, a war against then a superpower, the former USSR. These people were sitting there and just suffering and suffering and suffering. And today we have to ask them that, what do you want? What do you see for your own future? Which leader you prefer? Mm-hmm. How do you want your country to be run? That's why I want these people to be included. And women is part of that.
Okay, good. I'm glad you, because I am very partial to that subject. So tell us about how you see the role of women.
Men fight, women suffer. Men disagree in politics, women and children are killed. Mm-hmm. And they have no say in it. This is not acceptable anymore. Before they used to say that, we don't have many educated women who would come in such a level in politics. Now we do. For the last 12 years, we produced the most fantastic women in Afghanistan, that they are well versed. They lived in Afghanistan all their lives. They know about politics, international, internal politics and all that. They should be involved. I'm glad that we have so many people, women in the parliament. That's fantastic. But
what is the percentage?
More than 25%.
No, that's very good. Even compared with Canada.
But compared to many countries, yes. That's why I want to talk about achievements also. Mm-hmm. Women's situation is a huge achievement in Afghanistan, and we should keep it and not allow people inside or outside to harm this. Freedom of speech. I had a friend who had come from Iran. She couldn't believe that someone would come on television and criticize the president, criticize the government, and criticize whatever they didn't like. This is a huge achievement. So freedom of speech in our part of the world is not something that you can take it for granted. So this has to be safeguarded, and we should not lose it. Our democracy. If we sell our vote and fall in the trap of some wrongdoers, this is our fault. Because now we have a right to vote to whoever we like. We have to take this very seriously and to vote to someone who would really change the future of us towards what we want it to be. Mm-hmm. Education. Education is also fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, girls couldn't get out of the country. Now 40% of the students are girls. Yes. So these are the achievements that we should talk about it and we should safeguard it.
And the whole world has heard about Malala, of course, the girl who was shot.
Yeah, Malala was, she's a Pashtun, but she was in Pakistan.
That was in Pakistan.
Yeah, and but we have lots of Malalas that they have.
Yes.
They have. I mean, just recently in eastern Afghanistan, we had women activists being killed. So it is important that we should remember these women and we should carry on this.
Okay, and we just have another 2 minutes, and I want to ask you something about the role of Islam in all this. I mean, you know, the West is under the impression that Islam is part of the problem. How can we make it part of the solution? And one of the things that you said, for example, at the meeting yesterday, was that you went to prison and you found that lots of women who were raped, they were the victims, and yet they were put in prison. How can we possibly tolerate a situation like that?
That's why I'm saying that we can use Islam for the protection of not just women, for protection of many more justices in Afghanistan. Today, majority of women, if I say more than 90%, I haven't exaggerated, women, they don't take their inheritance in Afghanistan, because for a woman to take inheritance is a taboo. But this is violence of their Islamic right. If we put the Islamic card there, they could be protected.
Yes.
Two tribes fight. I mean, in order that they should get back together and the feud will end, the tribe who has killed would give a daughter to the tribe who has the victim.
Okay, like they used to give a cow, now they give a cow. No,
in Afghanistan has always been for injury is cow, for death is a girl. Okay. So these are the things that only Islam could stop this. Forced marriages, if this is totally 100% against Islamic laws and regulations, it's violence of Islamic law. So only Islam could. This is one thing. The thing is that no matter who you are in Afghanistan, the influence Islam is number one in your life.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So you have to work within the system.
To work within the system and work on the men, and tell a man, to a father, that if you gave by force your daughter to marriage, you have violated Islam, something which is very close to your heart. You tell the brothers that if you deny your sister taking her inheritance, you will go to hell for it. It is like any other sins in Islam. So these are the things that I want to. Importance of education, for God's sake. Iqra, read, learn the art of writing is the first order of God in Islam.
Absolutely.
Why we are taking it so lightly? Why? For me, as a Muslim, whoever is illiterate in the Islam or Muslim world is the biggest sinner, because this is the first order of God. These are the things and these are the biggest problems we have in Afghanistan: illiteracy, injustices regarding women, and these kind of things.
Well, we've run out of time, Fatima. This is wonderful. This is a great thought that we have ended up with, the issue of how to use Islam for the betterment of the welfare of people in Afghanistan and everywhere else. So thank you very much for agreeing to do this interview. This is wonderful. Thank you.